Support uptime. This seems to be a hot topic these days. I hear about it multiple times a day on Reddit, in Twitch chats, Discord servers, in-game, you name it. So as a support main, I thought I would make a small video about it, highlighting parts of it that I find interesting. I'll give examples from different raid settings and give you my take on this controversial topic. So, first of all, what is uptime? To understand what this means for supports, using the Bible to explain is going to be the easiest, simply because we don't have any real measurements for this in-game. Trust me, I would love making this video using only in-game resources, but it wouldn't make sense. I'm sorry if you dislike the Holy Book, but until Smilegate decides to give supports better feedback on a gameplay in-game, this is what we have. So, you might have seen numbers like 90, 90, 50 or 40, 40, 10 being thrown around. What do these mean? These are numbers that are provided by the Holy Among Us, and they refer to the percentage of damage being buffed by attack buffs, brandings, and identity buffs, respectively. The first two being attack and branding, the last one being identity buffs. In this example, you can see that for this gate, the artist had an average of 90, 90, and 65, which is fairly high, while the paladin had 75, 25, and 40. Bruh. But what does this mean for the raid damage? Thankfully, my holy brothers also provide a sum of all of the buffs. So, let's take a look at that. This S shows how much of that player's damage can be attributed to the support's buffs. So, the support damage contribution is always the average damage of the damage dealers times the average percentage in this column right here. To make it simple, with 50% support synergy for all three damage dealers, the support dealt 150% of their average damage. And if you look at this paladin with his god-awful brand uptime, you'll see that he still does above 100% of the average damage contribution of his teammates. Of course, he could do more, but so could most DPS players if they tried to. And I haven't even touched on everything else a support can do for a party, like shielding, DR, healing, reliable counters, etc. So this is the reason why hand stiff on supports is so big. This is why on eye level supports are accepted into every raid, and it is also sadly why gearing and leveling supports have felt so lackluster for forever. Because the vast majority of your damage contribution comes down to exactly what this video is about, uptime. Mark that it is the percentage of damage buffed, not the actual time of buffs and debuffs that counts. This means that damage windows like a Khan Gate 1 in Ana, Khan Gate 3, 180, 160, and 140, all clashes in Theman Gate 3, and most post-stagger checks in all raids and dungeons matter exponentially more than your average pattern. This is not to downplay buffs during normal patterns, but rather to emphasize the importance of pre-buffing those big damage windows. It's okay for the buff to be active for a second or two before the damage window starts. So, how to get better uptime? Watch my support guide, lol. No, but for real, like, it has everything you need to improve your support gameplay. If you still have questions after watching it, leave them down in the comments of that video, or in the comment section of this one. There's also a major difference in support uptime during homework and during prog. I'm going to talk a little bit about that here. And also touch on if you struggle to get better than supporter, which, I mean, in reality you shouldn't care about at all. Because the MVP screen is, yeah, it's not the best indicator, to say it that way, of your performance. Or maybe you're wondering why your uptime is still bad, even though you're trying to improve. If you have a proper build, watch my support guide and are trying to improve, I would say that you most likely are not comfortable with the raid or raids still. Maybe you're running around too much, not paying attention to your attack buffs or brand, or maybe you're too focused on shielding and healing your teammates, which is good, but that makes you struggle to do buffs at the same time. If this sounds familiar, I would suggest trying to reverse your priorities for a week or two and put all of your focus into damage buffs for a while and see if you see any improvement. I think you will see improvement from that. And then after some time, you'll go back to being able to focus on both. Every player should know and pay attention to the health bars of the boss, know if a mech and which one is coming up soon, to know how to approach their gameplay in the next few seconds. This is especially important on supports. An example, an Asura Breaker might not want to pop their identity even if it's ready. If there is a clash incoming in Game Mind Gate 3 in like 10 to 20 seconds. Likewise, a support might want to hold their identity buff for when a big damage window is coming up, because that way their teammates will get the most out of it, as they're not dodging patterns at the same time. Of course, regular attack buffs and branding should be rotated no matter what is happening. With all of this in mind, it's easy to see that the average raid damage contribution would go down during prog, because you're still learning normal patterns. Boss might dodge and or cancel your brand and attack buffs. Teammates need more care-informed shields, damage reduction, and healing. You might not know all of the best damage windows yet. Maybe you use 3 bubble damage buffs as the mechanic starts because you don't remember when they happen. And one last thing is that prog fights take way longer than homework, and it's far easier to maintain good uptime on shorter fights compared to long ones. So, in short, just as DPS players learn to greed damage going through prog and to re-clears, supports should also up their game, paying attention to the entire fight, maximizing damage windows. Having to worry less about teammates getting hit is also, of course, like a big help in being able to focus on buffing. If you are a DPS player complaining about your support's uptime, please consider these points. Are you doing more than average DPS of your raid? Or are you being carried to an extent, just like that support? Are you always standing in Sonic Vibration or Sunwell? This is actually pretty huge, especially for Pitmaster classes, which are often far away. Did you hone a support to the eye level of your main yourself? If not, maybe instead of complaining, be happy that someone else owned a basically progressionless class to help you do your raids. A lot of supports players only play supports and would learn a lot from playing a DPS and seeing when it is important to buff, shield, etc. A lot of support players don't read the Bible, and there is no feedback in-game. I don't count the MVP screen. So how do they know how they should play better? Extremely few supports are mains, and just play them for easy raids, as they get easily accepted into any content anyway. So where's the need to improve? I think this is the main reason why we see below 50% attack buff and brand uptime. Well, some actually don't even run a marking skill at all. So, to sum it up, supports have the potential to massively gap everyone in damage contribution. Uptime in prog is not the same as in reclear/homework parties. Play both DPS and support to learn both sides of the coin. Rebuffing damage windows is huge. So there you have it, a little bit of my take on the support uptime controversy we see a lot of these days. I hope it was insightful. I hope you guys didn't mind me using the Bible a little bit. I know it's controversial or whatever, but it's really like the only thing we've got, so that's what I'm using. with this video that is, you know, like, of course, these screenshots, a friend gave them to me. Gift from God. Now, anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you feel like there's something I left out, leave questions in the comments. Give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more like this, and yeah, catch you in the next one. Yeah.